Hello, darling, and welcome to our first official episode. I hope you're having an amazing week so far, and I hope you're ready to dive into today's topics with me. We have some pretty good topics today, and a few things I'm gonna want your opinion on. So let's not waste any time. Let's get started. Like I said, I hope you guys are having an amazing week. It's pretty early in the week still. I know my week is going pretty smoothly, so hey, I can't complain. Like I said, we're not going to waste much time dilly-dallying today. We're going to go ahead and jump right in. So, for our first topic, I'm pretty sure by this point everyone has heard about the fiasco a few weeks ago with Marvin Sapp. If you haven't, let me go ahead and bring you up to date. If you have, let me just refresh your memory a little bit. So, a clip resurfaced a few weeks ago from a service that Marvin Sapp led. It was apparently at the 109th Pentecostal Assemblies of the World Convention. So, it was like a church convention. And the things kind of hit the fan when offering came. It was time to take up offering, and I guess because it was a convention and they were live streaming and all of that, he decided to ask for a specific amount in the offering that he wanted to take up. He wanted to take up $40,000. But the thing that was so off-putting for everyone is he told the ushers to close the doors. Close the doors. That's how he said it. I'm just saying.
They understand the cost that is involved. There's 1,000 of you. I said close them doors. Ushers, close the doors. Close the doors. Close the doors. We all gonna leave together. Y'all ain't going no place but to the restaurant. There's 1,000 of you tonight, and those that are watching, it's 1,000 that's watching online. This is a small seed. If I get 1,000 online to give this, if I get 1,000 in the sanctuary to give this, that's $40,000 tonight. I'm challenging each of you all down here to give a $20 seed.
Now, of course, he didn't say lock the doors, but of course, that's kind of what entered everybody's mind. Like, why is he locking people in the church to take up offering? And then he was kind of stern about the amount that everyone had to give. He's like, there's X amount of people here in the church. I need $20 from everyone. Ushers, I said, close the doors. We'll leave when we're done. Like, y'all don't got nowhere to go but to a restaurant. But like I said, people were kind of off put by that because number one, you kind of can't tell people what to give. And number two was like, why you gotta close the doors? Like, what's the real purpose behind that? Like, we can give freely. We don't have to feel like we're being forced to give or being locked in to give. And that's just kind of the way that people took it. So naturally, something like that is going to spark backlash. Some people called it spiritual coercion. Some people just said it was manipulative, and some people said it was even triggering for them. And for a lot of people, it seemed to bring up like these negative feelings that they had about the church. You know, a lot of people have had bad experiences as it relates to church and specifically people in the church. And church just in general, especially like I would say Black church, has left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, and this seemed to trigger that for a lot of people. But like I said, because this was a resurfaced clip and it was just the clip of this preparing for offering and him saying close the doors, there wasn't much context around it. I know that when I first saw it, I didn't know that they were at some sort of convention. Now, that doesn't really change like having a certain amount you want to raise, but I kind of understand it. I've been to many church conventions in my day, but you kind of don't make it seem like people are forced to give. It's not like before you leave, I need $20 from you. I need $20 from everybody watching online. I need everybody in the pulpit to give $100, and we need this money before you go. That's not what he said, but that's what it felt like. That's what it seemed like, at least to me watching. So I can only imagine what it felt like to the people that were there. Like I said, it just goes back to feeling forced to give. And honestly, you just really shouldn't put people in those types of situations because you don't know what's going on in somebody's life financially and all of that. Yes, I'm at this convention, but you don't know what my pocket's looking like. And just long story short, what it all really boils down to for me is God loves a cheerful giver. So if I'm going to give, I'm going to give out of the kindness of my heart. Don't force me to give. Don't tell me like I got to sit down and stay seated until I give you my $20. Like, I'm going to give you my $20. I'm going to give it to you because it's what I felt moved to do. It's what I felt led to do in the moment. Now, he has since addressed this issue. He made a statement, I believe, on his Facebook page. And if you ask me, the statement was a little shady. It was a little shady. It had some backhanded statements in there. So he addressed the asking for a specific amount. Like I said, he asked for $40,000 from everyone. That's the total amount he was looking to collect from everyone that gave in totality. But he said this was not manipulation, that in fact it's biblical. He referenced 1 Chronicles 29, where leaders of the church called for a very specific giving to fund the work of God. He said that he was fulfilling his responsibility to help raise the conference budget, and according to him, that was all part of his role as a good steward. But now the part that stood out to me was when he said, quote, "A lot of people criticizing this have clearly never been to a conference like this or aren't familiar with this style of church culture." End quote. Now, for me, that just gave very much, oh, y'all don't go to church often, and it shows. That's what that gave to me, was like, y'all must not know how churches work. And it was like I said, it was a little shady, and it was like, you didn't necessarily have to say that part. You could have just said, this is the culture of this type of convention. This is the culture of our type of church. Could have said something like that. Not, clearly y'all don't know nothing about this. Y'all never been a part of something like this. Like I said, to me, that was he was being a little shady boots on that one. But the reason we bring this up now, because like I said, this happened a few weeks ago, but he has since, I guess he has a good PR team, or this was the idea of his PR team. Either way, he has since recorded and released a song called Close the Doors.
Close the doors. Close the doors. Close the doors. I said close them doors.
So he is clearly trying to market off of, this, what do we want to call it? We'll just call it a mishap of this clip that he got some backlash from. He's trying to market off of the backlash, it seems. Let me know if you guys are going to take a listen to it. Let me know if you're going to download it. Let me know if you're going to add it to your playlist. All right? Let's move on. So for our next topic, we're going to talk about when crying out becomes a spectacle. And we're going to talk about Kanye West and the need for private healing. So by now, we all know that Kanye West is one of those celebrities that is extremely controversial. He is either up or down in the most chaotic ways. He's either praising God, having Sunday service, and making some great gospel songs, great gospel music, to the next day he is calling himself a Nazi, wearing KKK uniforms, and parading his wife around basically naked on red carpets. We never know what we're going to get with this man. Most recently, in the past few months, he's taken to lashing out on Twitter, and his most recent tweet is a confession that is honestly a little both heartbreaking and disturbing. But beyond the shock value, what we might really be witnessing here is an unresolved cry for help. I know people have said that about him for years, and I've even been the one that's kind of like not really giving him much mercy, because I'm like, he's a grown man. He knows better. Like, we can't blame this and this and this on everybody. Like we can't always give somebody a way out. Like, he has to be accountable for his actions. But recently, like, learning what I've learned about trauma and all of that, And we'll have to get into that another day. But with what I know about trauma now, I think it is safe to say that he could be lashing out. He could be reliving some things that he never really resolved or never really got over from his youth or his younger years, and is really bothering him, and he's having to deal with it, and maybe he just doesn't know how. But this does raise the question of, at what point does transparency become oversharing? And when does public venting actually hinder the healing process instead of helping? So if you did not know, Kanye West recently released a song called Cousins. And when he announced the song, he also tweeted about a situation from when he was younger. He talked about finding magazines, what he described as dirty magazines, in his house. He found Playboy magazines that his dad had, but he said he found magazines that his mother had, and he just described them as being different, but they were dirty magazines. And he said that he showed them to his cousin, and they basically acted out what they saw in the magazines. And he confessed to performing fellatio on his 6-year-old cousin when he was younger. I'm assuming a child also himself. So that's pretty heavy, if you ask me. And I would say that is definitely some unresolved trauma that he's probably dealing with. He said that the cousin is now in prison for taking the life of a pregnant woman. And he kind of blames himself for that, because I think he said it happened shortly after he stopped having the relationship that he was having with his cousin. He said that we can't do that anymore. And a few years later, the incident happened with his cousin. His cousin has been in prison for that. So this is very deep information that he just released. And to me, to release something like this on Twitter is a bit casual for the heaviness of the situation, the heaviness of the information, and the impact that it has. It's clearly had some sort of impact on him in his life. I mean, why wouldn't it? But I do believe that there is a bit of danger that comes with using social media platforms as a therapist's couch, especially when you have millions of people watching you, millions of eyes are on you. Is the public helping or hurting? And if you go to the comments, like, one could read those comments and get even more depressed or down into a slump after reading the things that the people are saying in the comments, because there are a lot of people who are kind of agreeing with what I said a bit ago about how he clearly has all this trauma and he needs to get this off his chest. He needs to heal. But there's still those people that are just going to call him crazy and say he needs to be in a straitjacket and those types of things. So there are people in the comments saying these things about him. And I just feel like his healing needs to be handled very differently. And it makes me wonder, this is my real opinion, it makes me wonder if he has people around him that he could talk to or vent to. A lot of times you don't want to go to a therapist, you want to talk to someone that you know. But at the same time, from what we know about Kanye in the public eye, is he the type of person that would even listen to someone? Or would he just write them off as like, you're just trying to medicate me? You know, we've heard that from him about how people are forcing medications on him to keep him sedated all the time and just to keep him quiet. And one could say, like, look at how you're acting, maybe that's what's better for you, but I'm sure that's not what he wants to feel. Medications take a toll on you mentally, physically, and I'm sure he doesn't want to go through that. So like I said, I just wonder if he has truly anyone in his life that he can talk to about these things. Apparently he's on the outs with his wife, and I'm honestly not surprised by that. The way he kind of treats her like a doll and just kind of parades her around and does whatever he wants. And when I say that, I kind of mean like by having her dress in a certain way, and he treats her like a Barbie doll that he can like just dress up. He does this to all of his women. Apparently, he just molds them into whatever he sees, no matter what it is, because that's pretty damaging to me, to be parading your wife around on red carpets basically naked. That's damaging for you as a man, I feel like, and also for her more than anything. How does she feel? And why was she so comfortable doing that? Did she feel like she had no choice? I don't know. But like I said, apparently they're having issues. But I just wonder what real healing would look like for Kanye West. Like, it has to be handled very differently than what it's being handled now, because this is clearly something that he needs. He needs some help. And at the same time, it's also an eye opener. It can show you like how far people can go off the deep end when they have these unresolved wounds and they have trauma that they don't address. If not do anything about it, as far as like maybe you can't go straight to the source of it, but at least acknowledge it to yourself, acknowledge what it's done to you, and then find ways to move forward from it. Even that little, honestly, to me, that's the most important part of it, is we've got to acknowledge it and move forward from it and figure out how we can do that. And I really believe that that's something that Kanye West needs help with. And I really believe that that's something he has to do privately with real help. If it's not from people that like are close to him, that care about him, he needs to get like real professional help, like therapy, because the online rants and vents are only gonna create worse spaces for him. Like I said, seeing the comments and seeing the reactions that you get and the backlash that you're getting from these things is only gonna put you, in my opinion, into more of a depressive slump. So I pray he gets the help that he needs, but it's clear that he needs it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know how you feel about Kanye and his crazy journey in life. God bless that man. I pray he gets the help he needs. Moving on to our last topic of the night. Are you really ready for what you're praying for? I'm sure we all have things that we're hoping for, praying for, manifesting, whether it's love, success, new job opportunities. But the question that I want to pose to you today is, are you really ready for what you're asking for? Are you prepared to carry the weight of the blessing that you say you want? Because sometimes it's not that the blessing isn't coming, it's just that you're not ready to hold it. We ask why, sometimes why God is taking so long to give us the things that we want and we need, and it's truly because we're not ready, and for whatever reasons we just don't see that yet. It's easy to ask for something, but a lot of times when we're asking for it, we're not really thinking about what comes along with it, what it's going to take from us to be able to maintain it, to keep it. We're just thinking about what we need and what we want in the moment. For example, you may be praying for a relationship, but are you emotionally available? Are you ready to do what it takes to be in a relationship? Do you communicate well? Are you healed enough to not sabotage it? The same for a career, wanting a promotion, but your habits, your discipline, your leadership, are you even ready for the next level? Can you handle that type of increase? Blessings require capacity, not just desire. So a lot of times, a blessing before you're ready is going to feel more like a burden than the actual blessing. So that's why it's so important to continue to pray, and not just pray for the thing that you want, but pray for the strength and the ability to maintain it and to keep it and to handle it the way it needs to be handled. A lot of times it takes us to change our mindsets in order to receive our blessings and the things that we're praying for. And listen, this is something I'm going through right now also. I had a day today where my eyes were open to a lot of things, and a lot of things that I need to change in order to achieve the things that I want in life, because you can't expect to receive more and receive an increase and still do the things and be the same way that you were when you had less. It's not going to work out that way. And a lot of times God is waiting for us to realize that, waiting for us to see that we've got to make a shift in our mindset. And once he sees that, he's like, they realize what I'm making them wait, why I'm making them wait. Now they're ready. Now I can give them this increase. Preparation is a form of faith also. Preparing for your blessings before you get it is a big form of faith. Like you're preparing for something that you don't know if slash when you're gonna get, but you have the faith that God is gonna give it to you, so you're making sure that you're gonna be ready for it. Faith isn't just believing, it's preparing like you know it's coming. How are you positioning yourself for the thing that you say you want? Are you learning the skills? Are you strengthening your patience? Are you working on your discipline? You've got to be taking this, you've got to take the steps in order to do the things that are required of whatever this new blessing or increase is going to be. And sometimes delay is protection. I often think, I know this is kind of small, but sometimes when I'm like running late for work or something like that, I'm like, what was God keeping me off the road from? What was God keeping me off the road from at 7:45? Something might have happened to me. I needed to be in my car at 7:57 on my way to work. It's kind of small and it may sound like I'm being facetious or just playing around, but I'm being serious a lot of the times. And I know that's, like I said, it's on a smaller scale than what we're talking about, but it's the same sentiment. Delay equals protection sometimes, not just denial. It's not always no, it's oftentimes not yet. So reframing delays as opportunities for preparation and growth instead of punishment is one thing that we can do to make sure that we are preparing properly for whatever the thing is that we're praying for, that we're waiting for from God. So think about the things that you're praying for and that you're asking God for right now, and tell me, if it showed up tomorrow, would you know how to handle it or would you fumble it? And just think about one area that you can be preparing better for the things that you say you want, and start to work on that. And once you start to work on that, you'll probably see, I wasn't ready for this yet. Let me fix this. You'll probably come across things that you need to improve upon before you get whatever it is that you want and that you're praying for. And then when you do receive it, you'll realize, I wasn't ready for this then. If I would have got this 2 years ago when I was thought I needed it or something like that, it would have crumbled in my hands because I was not ready for it. You may come to those realizations, and I love those types of moments personally, but let's talk about that in the comments. What's something that you're hoping for, something that you're praying for, and how can you better prepare for it? What are some tips or tricks that you have for making sure that you make the shifts that you need to make in life in order to prepare for your blessings? So, one more thing before we go, one last thing to talk about in the comments. I've seen some discourse recently on social media that I thought was quite funny, and I want to get your opinion about it. The question of the night is, does meat belong in side dishes?
Black people, meat don't go in the green beans. Meat don't go in the green beans. Meat don't go in the baked beans. How the only vegetarian dishes in the house, y'all put meat in them. Meat don't go in the greens.
So as you can see, the young lady is saying that Black people, you don't you don't put meat in your side dishes, your collard greens, your baked beans, your string beans. Meat doesn't go in those. And she called them vegetarian dishes. But here's my take on it. They're not vegetarian dishes, they're vegetables. So, and especially being from the South, living in the South, we know that if you're going to cook some greens or some baked beans or some peas or some string beans, you got to season it, and you got to season it with a little meat. You just have to. Now, if you need a vegetarian dish, then you may want to talk to whoever is preparing your meal ahead of time and ask for, hey, can you make some of this on the side without any meat or something along those lines? But if you ask me, meat does go in side dishes. Maybe not all of them, but definitely some. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Does meat belong inside dishes? Tell me what you think, and I hope you guys have a great night. I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye.